This week, Bill Clinton announced some of the fairly significant changes that would be coming to the Clinton Global Foundation if Hillary becomes president in November, especially his role in it. He'll be stepping down from the foundation board, and it would stop accepting money from foreign and corporate sources, he told his staff yesterday. Information on the possible role of Chelsea Clinton in the foundation was not available, and people were less interested in it. But anyway, Bill Clinton also said that the Clinton Global Initiative meeting in New York next month will be the final meeting for that organization, no matter what happens with Hillary Clinton in November. So some changes will happen only if she wins. Some will happen whether she wins or not. And there's some personal changes to some of the behaviors that he's done that have been very lucrative, both for the foundation and for the Clintons specifically. He said that he's decided not to give paid speeches if Hillary Clinton is elected president. The former president has not given a paid speech since November, and one of his spokespeople said that the plan is, should she win, he would not give a paid speech for the entirety of her presidency. She, however, will continue. No, I'm joking. I don't think she will.
Could you imagine?
Can you imagine? Like
the inauguration,
State of the Union.
Inauguration will be sponsored by Goldman Sachs, who is now paying me $2.25 million. I've increased my rate. Okay, so I actually think this is a very good development. We've probably covered the Clinton Foundation more than any show there is, TV, digital or otherwise. And in fact, yesterday I had another story about how the Boston Globe wanted them to end the Clinton Foundation because there's just too many conflicts of interest. I didn't get to it because we had so many stories on the show yesterday.
Ed Rendell has said the same thing recently.
Yeah, and so good, but then Reince Priebus comes in and goes, "Ha ha, we told you that there was problems with this thing."
Yeah. I have these quotes for you.
Yeah. So let's read those because I want to react to that and to the main news as well.
Yes. Reince Priebus taking a brief break from having to clean up Trump's latest mess, saying if everything was above board while Hillary Clinton ran the State Department as the Clintons have said, then why change a thing? But now that they have admitted there is a problem, the Clinton Foundation should immediately cease accepting foreign donations and return every penny ever taken from other countries, several of which have atrocious human rights records and ties to terrorism, which is certainly true. And look, I despise him, but yeah, they're not admitting that accepting the money while she's the president would be wrong, but they certainly admit that it seems like it'd be wrong. Well, if it seems like it's wrong while she's the president, then why in the 80 days leading up to it would it not be equally, at least seemingly wrong? It seems like, of course, that's potentially corrupting.
Well, if it was potentially corrupting when she's president and has to deal with other countries, it's also a little potentially corrupting when you're the Secretary of State also have to deal with other countries.
Or when you're between those jobs as well.
But first, let me just get out of the way criticizing the Republicans. So that's the thing. You ever give Republicans an inch, they're going to take a mile, right? So you're like, okay, we're going to stop the Clinton Foundation's foreign donations, corporate donations. They're like, we want more. I know. Okay. In this case, they happen to be right, so I'm going to let it slide. Yeah. And then Reince Priebus with, I can't believe they take money from these countries that have all these problems. Your former president, George W. Bush, walked around Crawford in his ranch holding hands with a Saudi king who was the one giving money to the Clinton Foundation. That's the guy you're talking about. George Bush nearly made out with him. So you live in a bit of a glass house, and so I'll take that talking point from you with a little less credibility than from other sources. But yes, of course it was a conflict of interest. And in the Boston Globe editorial, when they asking them to shut it down, they made a great point. They said, well, if these governments, foreign governments and these giant corporations want to keep on giving, I'm sure they'll, driven by that same charitable nature, they will continue to give the same amount of money just to another charity. Which, they just left it at that.
Yeah, but the Sierra Club. They'll just divvy it to the Sierra Club.
But the obvious implication of that is brilliant, which is, no, they're not doing it for charity. They're obviously doing it to have access to the Clintons.
For influence.
For influence, which is the exact problem.
Yeah, and see what the Clintons have done here is they've taken the system of money and politics that they perfected here in America, and they've done it on a global scale. It's the same racket. It's played out with bigger states and literally with countries that print their own money. So they're funneling in millions of dollars into this country, into their own coffers for the Clinton Global Initiative, and then they're paying themselves, and they're paying the expenses of all of their staffs and all this other stuff too. It's the same racket.
I gotta. That's such a great point, because what you might not get is because I didn't get it in the beginning. I'm like, what? Okay, so I guess they're trying to do something charitable. God bless their hearts on that front. It's a little corrupting, so I'm worried about that. I guess it's a mixed bag, but I'm like, why? Why do they want to, like, other than charity, what's the point? And it turns out, of course, there's a political point, because they get to put all their staff on there, and all their staff and all their loyalists get paid through the Clinton Foundation for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So in their case, they're very rich. They don't need to set up a scam where they personally get enriched by the charity, which happens often in politics. But they get to house all of their staff and loyalists inside the Clinton Foundation. So I don't think that they're evil people and they don't care about the charity. I think that they care about the charity, check, right?
Yeah.
And I get to have my political operation kind of ready to go here, check. And then meanwhile, I got to do a couple of favors for Kazakhstan and Saudi Arabia. I do favors for them anyway. Let's just move on with our lives.
It's a great small version of the strategy that she clearly has had for something like 15 plus years, where she has courted these people and helped these people out in their careers, helping out the state parties, usually just using them to funnel money to her campaign. And she courts all these people and she sustains all these people, and so they remain loyal to her to do political, like, basically payback. And she did that for staffers. She kept basically a campaign staff just waiting to go in the wings.
It's an Oval Office staff. I mean, it's a government
also
staff.
that,
the size of it is that these people will move directly over into the administration once she gets elected, God willing, that Trump doesn't end up in the presidency.
See, guys, I got to say, I hadn't thought of that. So part of the reason, now we just to explain that I had thought about how they were in waiting, but I hadn't realized, connected to this story, well, part of the reason they might be shutting it down is not out of the goodness of their heart, but they're expecting to move the staff to the White House.
Yeah.
So to them, they think, oh, okay, guys, you win, we'll shut it down, because they're about to have new jobs if these polling is correct on Trump versus me.
You guys, the Clinton Foundation does a lot of good charity work, and you guys sound like right-wingers.
What percentage of their money is spent on programmatic work?
You know what? I don't have those figures at my fingertips, but they're doing great work. I've heard of great work.
For sure, and it's probably better than the Red Cross at this point, but they've done like 15% was spent on program, is what I read today.
Really?
Yeah, and the rest is spent on staff and travel and
How
expenses.
are they getting away with that? Is that true? That's
Who's going to police them? This is international work, and there is no cop
You
on the
sound
beat, man.
sexist.
And look, the definition of corruption isn't like evil people. I don't think they're evil people. It's that when good people do bad things thinking it's normal. And that is the Clintons to a T.
Yeah. Well, and also, it doesn't have to be either an evil mwahaha corporation or, Bill and Melinda Gates with a different surname. It could be both of those things at the same time. It can do good charity work, and it can be designed to maintain a staff that she can call on when she runs for the presidency.
Now, I'm a good-natured person. I'm going with that.
Yeah.
I know Jimmy's a little more skeptical.
Listen, if you guys have any evidence of corruption, I'd like to see it.
I got one. Ericsson.
What is that?
We have a
A
YouTube
Swedish
channel.
company, Ericsson, gives Bill Clinton $750,000 for a speech. That's their normal rate, like triple their normal rate. 7 days later, the State Department clears a deal where they've been dealing with repressive regimes and clears them for it. Says it's fine, hands off.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? I mean, that's quid pro quo.
Well, that's
And
what
I have another example for you, Jimmy.
he's not the Secretary of State, right?
Right, I'm sure they don't talk. It must have just happened.
I
It's
mean,
just a coincidence.
He gets to give speeches, right?
Just a coincidence.
Yeah.
You
So-
guys sound really like right-wingers. Are you guys for Bernie?
I think I might be sexist, actually.
You guys sound like Bernie.
Okay, let me read this other example because this is timely.
A full 50% of the audience will not know you're being sarcastic, but
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Okay.
They're like, why is Jimmy being a dick today? Anyway, okay, this week, State Department officials have faced questions about the department's interest in purchasing land for a U.S. embassy in Lagos from Lebanese-Nigerian businessmen Ronald and Gilbert Chagori. Gilbert Chagori has donated more than $1 million to the Clinton Foundation, which also notes that the Chagori group, run by the brothers, pledged to commit $1 billion to fight coastal erosion. So that could potentially be a good thing. But they donated $1 million, and now the State Department, which Clinton had some affiliation with it in the past, I don't remember, they might be buying land specifically from this businessman because that's the only land left in Lagos.
And that's the same guy that they sent panicked emails about, hey, this is a very important guy, make sure that the State Department takes care of him.
Yeah.
And so those emails we now know about because they're in the press, so they're not in dispute anymore. That is a fact. So when Jimmy jokingly said, I mean, where's the evidence of corruption? When the guy gives money to the Clinton Foundation, then there's emails saying, make sure the State Department takes care of him. Hillary Clinton runs the State Department. This is not complicated.
Yeah.
So
I don't get it.